wasn't born for this, not for the scars that crawl up my arms, nor for the weight that keeps me anchored to these cold stones. Yet here I am, trapped, but alive, and maybe that's something. There was a time I believed in strength, in resilience, in the idea that a man could bend without breaking. I see now that it's not the bending that's hard, it's staying whole after every twist, every crack. They tell you life's a gift, but they don't speak of the agony it wraps inside. And here I am. All I have left is my voice and this burning urge to not let it end here. I don't remember when I started talking to myself like this. Maybe when I ran out of people who understood, who believed. It's just me now, just this voice echoing off these stone walls. Every battle, every damn battle took something from me, left me feeling hollow, yet somehow I'm still standing. I think maybe that's what it means to be alive, to feel broken and still find some piece of yourself to keep walking. And the pain's just part of it, isn't it? It's the reminder. They call us warriors, but they don't tell you about the darkness we carry, about how we swallow that darkness just to make it through another day. They don't tell you how sometimes the hardest battle is convincing yourself to keep breathing, to lift your head when every part of you wants to sink. But I'm not broken, just bent beneath the weight of things I'll never say out loud, wounds I'll carry alone, and that's fine. I don't need anyone to understand. All I need is this moment, this breath, this silent pact with myself to rise again. Because if I can stand, I can fight. And if I can fight, maybe I can still win. I hear my own heartbeat. It's almost comforting, this dull thud in the silence. Proof that I'm still here, still alive. It's strange, isn't it? How we cling to the sound of life, even when living feels like a curse. The world is silent around me now, but I know that silence too well. It's the kind that comes before a storm, when everything seems to hold its breath, waiting for the sky to shatter. I've faced storms before, seen the heavens crack open and pour down their fury, but nothing compares to the storms that rage inside me. Those are the real battles, the ones no one sees, the scars that don't bleed but burn deep. They tell you to be strong, but they never teach you what that really means. It's not about muscle or willpower. It's about enduring the ache that never leaves, the pain that gnaws at you even in your sleep. I remember when I was younger, when I still thought I could outrun the shadows. There was a fire in my chest, a belief that I could change everything if I just fought hard enough. But life has a way of dulling that fire, like a blade ground down on stone. I feel the edges of myself smoothing out, becoming blunt, worn. But maybe that's not weakness. Maybe it's just another kind of strength. You learn to bend when you can't break. You learn to yield just enough to survive. And isn't that the essence of this struggle? Surviving. Because that's what I'm doing right now. Surviving. Even when it feels like the world is crumbling around me. Even when my bones ache and my spirit feels thin, like it might tear apart at any moment. People always talk about heroes, about glory and victory, but they don't know what it's like to stare into the abyss and find it staring back. They don't know the silence that follows the clash of swords when the blood has dried and you're left alone with your thoughts. That's the hardest part. Not the fight, but what comes after. The emptiness, the questions that have no answers. Why do I keep going? Why do I still rise when every part of me wants to stay down? It's not for glory, that's for sure. There's no glory in this kind of pain. It's something deeper, something primal. Maybe it's just the refusal to be defeated. Maybe it's the anger that keeps me warm when the world goes cold. Or maybe it's hope. A foolish, stubborn hope that somehow, despite everything, it's still worth it. I know what they'd say if they saw me now. He's broken. But they're wrong. I'm not broken. I've bent under the weight, yes, but I haven't shattered. And there's a difference. It's the difference between giving in and giving up, between surrendering and surviving. They don't understand that. They see the cracks and think it's weakness. But the cracks are proof I've endured. Proof I've faced the fire and didn't turn to ash. I close my eyes and I can still see the faces. Friends, brothers, ghosts now. I carry them with me, their voices whispering in the back of my mind, telling me not to forget, telling me to keep going. It's strange how the dead can give you strength, how their absence fills you with a resolve you never knew you had. I owe it to them, don't I? To live, to keep fighting, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Pain is a part of me now. It's woven into my bones, stitched into the fabric of who I am. I can't run from it, can't hide, so I embrace it. I let it fuel me, let it drive me forward, because if I can feel pain, it means I'm still alive. It means I still have something left to give, something left to prove. They say a man's true strength is shown when he's at his weakest. If that's true, then I've found a strength I never knew I had. It's not the kind of strength that moves mountains or wins battles. It's quieter than that. It's the strength to keep breathing, to keep moving, when every part of you wants to stop. To look at the darkness and say, I'm still here. I'm not afraid of the darkness anymore. I've made my peace with it. It's become a part of me, a shadow I can't escape, but that's okay. You learn to live with your shadows, to walk alongside them instead of running away. They teach you things, hard lessons, painful lessons, but necessary ones. They show you what you're made of, what you can endure. The world might see me as a warrior, but I know the truth. I'm just a man, trying to hold on, trying to make sense of a life that doesn't make sense anymore. I've lost more than I can count, given up more than I ever thought I would, but I've gained something too, a kind of clarity, a realization that strength isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up every single time. No matter how many times you've been knocked down, I don't know what's waiting for me beyond these walls. Maybe nothing. Maybe another fight, another storm. But it doesn't matter. I'll face it like I've faced everything else, with clenched fists and the fire in my chest. Because I'm not done yet. Not by a long shot. I might be bent, twisted under the weight of it all, but I'm not broken, and that's enough. That's all I need to keep going. Every breath feels like a burden, but I take it anyway. One more breath, one more moment, one more chance. That's all it ever is, isn't it? A series of moments we fight through, one after the other, until they blur into a haze of survival. I've lost track of time in this place, but I've never lost that instinct to fight, to live, even when it feels pointless. There's something inside me that refuses to let go, that clings to the smallest sliver of light in the darkness. They say time heals all wounds, but they're wrong. Time doesn't heal anything. It just teaches you how to live with the pain. It shows you how to carry it without breaking, how to wear your scars like armor. I used to think that the scars would fade, that the memories would dull with time, but they don't. They linger, sharp and vivid, like fresh cuts. Every scar tells a story, a moment of weakness, a moment of strength. They remind me of everything I've endured, every battle fought, and every loss felt. I've felt the sting of betrayal, the hollow ache of loss, the suffocating weight of loneliness. They cut deeper than any sword, those feelings. The kind of pain that leaves you breathless, like the air's been stolen from your lungs. I've stood in the rain, feeling it wash over me, mixing with the tears I couldn't hold back. The world doesn't care about the tears of a warrior. It only cares about the blood, about the victories. But the battles I fought inside my own head, those are the real victories, the ones no one will ever see. I was taught to be strong, to hide my pain behind a mask of indifference. But I'm tired of hiding, tired of pretending that I don't feel anything, that the weight on my chest isn't crushing me with every passing day. I feel it, like a vice around my heart, squeezing tighter and tighter. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the pain is what keeps me alive. It reminds me that I'm still here, that I haven't given up. I've seen men who've lost that fire, that will to keep going. I've seen the emptiness in their eyes, the hollow look of defeat. It's the worst kind of death, the kind that happens while you're still breathing. I refuse to become that. I refuse to let the darkness swallow me whole. I've walked too far into the abyss to turn back now. The only way out is forward, through the pain, through the shadows. There's a voice inside me, small but fierce, whispering that I'm not done yet, that there's still fight left in me, still something worth fighting for. I hold on to that voice like a lifeline, even when it's drowned out by the roar of doubt and fear. Because the fear never goes away, does it? It just becomes a part of you, a constant companion. But I've learned to use it, to turn it into fuel. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you moving. It's when you stop feeling fear that you've truly lost. I think about the people who've come and gone in my life, the ones who believed in me, the ones who didn't. I carry their voices with me, like echoes in the back of my mind. Some voices are soft, gentle reminders of kindness and love. Others are harsh, biting words that still sting. But they all serve a purpose. They've all shaped me, molded me into who I am. I'm a patchwork of those voices, stitched together by every experience, every heartbreak, every failure and failure. I know it well. It's been a constant companion, lurking in the shadows of every decision, every step I've taken. I used to be afraid of it, paralyzed by the thought of falling short, but now I see it differently. Failure isn't the end, it's a teacher, a guide. It shows you where you went wrong, where you need to be stronger. It's the forge that tempers steel, and I'm still in that fire, still being shaped by the heat of every setback, every misstep. I've been knocked down more times than I can count. I've felt the cold dirt against my face, tasted the bitterness of defeat, but I've always gotten back up. Even when it felt impossible, when my body screamed for rest and my mind begged for peace, I got up, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Because staying down isn't an option, not for me, not for someone who's seen what I've seen, who's felt what I've felt. I don't need anyone's pity. I don't want it. I'm not a victim. I'm a survivor. And there's a difference. Victims stay down. Survivors rise, no matter how many times they're beaten. They find a way, even when there's no clear path. They push forward, through the pain, through the darkness, because they know that giving up means surrendering everything they fought for. I close my eyes and breathe in the cold, damp air. It fills my lungs, sharp and biting, but it's a reminder that I'm still here, still fighting, still alive. It's not much, but it's enough. Enough to keep going. Enough to take one more step, to fight one more battle. Because I've come too far to stop now. I've endured too much to let it end here. I might be bent under the weight of everything I carry, but I'm not broken. I refuse to break. Not now, not ever. I'll bend until I snap back, stronger than before. That's what they don't understand. Those who watch from the sidelines, those who judge without knowing the struggle. They see the cracks, but they don't see the strength it takes to keep standing despite them. I'm not broken, just bent. And that's enough. It's enough to keep me fighting, enough to keep me believing that there's still something worth fighting for. I don't know what lies ahead. More battles, more pain, I'm sure of it. But I'll face it all with clenched fists and a heart that refuses to give in. Because this is who I am, a warrior. Not because I'm unscarred, but because I've embraced the scars. I've turned them into armor, into a testament of everything I've survived. And as long as I'm still breathing, I'll keep fighting. Because I'm not done yet. Not broken, just bent. I remember the taste of the first victory, sweet and fleeting, like rain on a dry tongue. It felt like it would last forever, that high, that rush. But it didn't. Victory is temporary. It slips through your fingers before you can hold it. The world moves on, and the next battle waits, relentless and unfeeling. No one tells you that. They paint this picture of glory, of heroes standing tall on the battlefield, but they don't show you what comes after. They don't show you the hollow ache of an empty victory, the haunting silence that fills the space where the battle cries once roared. It's the aftermath that's the hardest. When the noise dies down and you're left with nothing but your own thoughts, that's when the real fight begins. The fight with yourself, with the doubts and fears that claw at your mind. The fight to keep believing that this pain has a purpose, that it's shaping you into something stronger, unbreakable. But it's hard to see that when you're down on your knees, gasping for air, feeling like the whole world is pressing down on your chest. I've been there more times than I can count. Bent, but not broken. Bent under the weight of a world that doesn't care, that takes without giving. It tests you, pushes you to the brink, just to see if you'll fall. And I've stumbled, I've fallen hard. I've felt the cold embrace of the ground, the bitter taste of failure. But I've also felt the thrill of standing up again, of defying the odds, of spitting in the face of fate and saying, "Not yet, you don't get to break me today." It's a game, this life, a cruel, twisted game where the rules change without warning, where the stakes are your sanity, your soul. But I've learned how to play. I've learned that you don't win by following the rules. You win by bending them, by refusing to play the part they've written for you. They want you to break, to shatter under the pressure. But I've bent so many times that I've become flexible, unyielding in a way they can't understand. They see me bending and think it's a sign of weakness, but it's the opposite. It's strength, it's survival. I've carried so many burdens, so many secrets, that I've lost count. They're heavy, these invisible weights that press down on my shoulders. The guilt, the regrets, the memories of things I wish I could forget. But I can't put them down, can't leave them behind. They're a part of me now, stitched into my very being. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's what it means to be human, to carry the things you can't change and still move forward. There's a kind of beauty in it, isn't there? The way we break and bend and yet keep going. The way we find a way to endure, even when everything inside us screams for rest. I've seen it in others, in the eyes of those who've lost everything but still find the strength to smile. It's a kind of defiance, a silent middle finger to a world that tries to crush you. It's saying, "I'm still here, despite everything." I think about the nights I've spent alone, staring up at the stars, feeling small and insignificant under their distant gaze. It's humbling, realizing how small you are in the grand scheme of things. How your pain, your struggles, are just a tiny ripple in an ocean of suffering. But it's also empowering, because if you're this small, then your problems are too. They feel enormous when they're all you can see, but from a distance, they're just a speck, a fleeting shadow. I've learned to zoom out, to see the bigger picture. It doesn't make the pain go away, but it puts it into perspective. It reminds me that this moment, this struggle, is just a piece of a much larger puzzle. It's one step on a long path, a path I'm determined to walk, no matter how rough the terrain gets. The path has been rough lately, filled with sharp stones and deep pits. It's tested me in ways I wasn't prepared for, broken me down to my core. But I'm still here. I'm still walking. I may be limping, I may be bruised and bloodied, but I haven't stopped, and I won't. Because stopping means giving up, and that's not in me. It never has been. I've come too far, lost too much, to turn back now. I think of the people who've doubted me, who've looked at me with pity or scorn. They see the cracks and assume I'm broken, but they don't see what's underneath. They don't see the steel that's been forged in the fires of every hardship I've faced. They don't see the resolve that hardens every time I get back up. Let them think what they want. Let them underestimate me. It only makes it sweeter when I prove them wrong. Because that's what I've been doing my whole life, proving people wrong. The ones who said I couldn't, who said I wouldn't make it. They don't know the battles I fought, the demons I faced in the quiet moments when no one was watching. They don't know how many times I've stood on the edge, staring into the void, and pulled myself back. They see a warrior, but they don't see the war that rages inside. It's a private war, one I fight every day. And every day I win, even if it doesn't look like it. Even if I'm dragging myself through the mud, barely holding on. Because winning isn't about looking strong. It's about refusing to quit, no matter how many times you fall. It's about finding a reason to keep going, even when you can't see the end of the road. And I have a reason. It's not clear, not something I can put into words, but it's there, deep inside me. It's the voice that whispers, one more step, one more fight. You're not done yet. It's the fire that flickers even in the darkest nights, refusing to go out. It's hope, I think. Or maybe it's just stubbornness. Either way, it's enough. I might be bent under the weight of it all, but I'm not broken. And as long as I have breath in my lungs, I'll keep going. I'll keep fighting. Because I'm not done yet. Not broken, just bent. I think about the pain a lot. Not in a way that makes me feel sorry for myself, but in a way that forces me to confront it. It's like a shadow that I can't shake, always lurking, always there. And maybe I've stopped wanting to escape it. Pain is a teacher, isn't it? It shows you where you're weak, where the cracks are. It forces you to look at yourself in a way that comfort never could. When everything is easy, you forget what it means to be truly alive. But when you're drowning in the darkness, every breath becomes precious. The first time I felt real pain, I was a child. It wasn't physical. It was the kind of pain that comes from betrayal, from realizing that the world isn't as kind as you once believed. It was the moment I lost my innocence, when the veil was lifted, and I saw the truth for the first time. That's when the bending began. It's funny, looking back now, to see how naive I was, how much I trusted in things that were never meant to last. I thought the world would protect me, that the people I loved would always be there. But life has a way of ripping those illusions apart. I've felt the cold sting of betrayal more times than I can count. It leaves a mark deeper than any blade. It's the kind of wound that doesn't heal, that festers and spreads if you let it. But I've learned to live with it, to accept it as part of who I am. It's like an old scar. You stop noticing it after a while, even though it's still there. A reminder of something you'd rather forget, but I can't afford to forget. Forgetting means losing the lessons, losing the strength I've gained from enduring it. Sometimes I wonder what it would be like to go back, to erase all the pain, all the suffering, to start over with a clean slate, no scars, no burdens. But then I realize I wouldn't be me. The pain, the hardship, it's shaped me, molded me into something stronger. It's like steel, tempered in fire. You don't get strength without the heat, without the pressure. And I've been under that pressure for so long now that it's become a part of me. It's what keeps me standing when everything else falls apart. I've been through things that would make most men crumble. I've stared into the abyss and felt it stare back into me, cold and unfeeling. I've lost count of the times I've stood at the edge, one step away from giving up, from letting it all go. But something always pulls me back. It's not hope, not really. It's something darker, something more stubborn. It's the refusal to let the darkness win, to let it swallow me whole. I've seen what happens to those who give up. Their eyes go dull, their shoulders slump, and they become shells of who they once were. I've watched it happen to friends, to brothers, who were once unbreakable, and it terrifies me, the thought of becoming like that. I'd rather fight every day for the rest of my life than become a hollow, empty thing that's already dead inside. I carry the memories of those I've lost like weights on my back. Each one is a stone, heavy and unyielding, but I can't put them down. I won't. They're a part of me now, woven into the fabric of my being. Their voices echo in my head, reminding me of the promises I made, the vows I swore. I promised I'd keep going, that I'd make it to the end, even if I had to crawl there. And I don't break promises, not to them, not to myself. The nights are the hardest. When the world is quiet and I'm left alone with my thoughts, that's when the doubt creeps in. It whispers to me, soft and insidious, telling me that I'm not strong enough, that I've already lost. It's a familiar voice, one I've battled with for years, but every time it speaks, I fight back. I remind myself of everything I've survived, of every battle I've won, even when the odds were stacked against me. I remind myself that I'm still here, still breathing, still fighting. I think that's what it means to be alive, to fight, even when you don't want to push forward, even when every part of you wants to stop. It's not about winning or losing, it's about refusing to quit. It's about getting up one more time, then you're knocked down. It's about bending under the weight of it all, but never breaking. That's what they don't understand. They see the cracks, but they don't see the resolve behind them. I'm not afraid of the cracks. I embrace them. They're proof that I've lived, that I've fought and bled and survived. They're the marks of a life that hasn't been easy, but has been real. And I'd rather have a life full of cracks and scars than a perfect, unblemished existence that's never known struggle. Because struggle means growth. Pain means progress. Every wound, every scar, it's a lesson, a step forward. I've been bent so many times, twisted under the pressure, but I've always snapped back, stronger, more resilient. It's the bending that makes you stronger, not the breaking. The breaking is easy. It's the bending that takes strength. It's the bending that shows you what you're made of. And I'm made of something unbreakable, something forged in the fires of every battle, every loss. I've been beaten, bruised, scarred, but I've never been broken. Not truly. Because as long as I have breath in my lungs, as long as I can take one more step, I'm still in this fight. I'm still bending, but I'm not breaking. Not today, not ever. They can throw everything they have at me. Life can keep piling on the weight, testing me, pushing me to the edge. But I'll keep bending. I'll bend until I'm twisted into something they can't recognize, something they can't defeat. Because I'm not broken. I've never been broken. I'm just bent, and I'm okay with that. Because bent things are flexible. Bent things can't be shattered. And that's what I am. A warrior who's been bent under the weight of the world, but who refuses to break. Not now, not ever.